building wealth needs to be made accessible to everybody. Hi, I'm Matthias Baccino, European Markets Lead at Trade Republic.
Matthias, you're originally from France. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got to Trade Republic?
Well, this was not a fully written journey from the start because I started in diplomacy. I have a hobby for geopolitics. I studied political science and I started as a cultural cooperation attaché in the French embassy in Kyrgyzstan. This experience helped me realize that working in a bureaucratic environment is not fitting my personality at all. And I met back then a trader from a big bank. You need to know that 2006 was the boom of finance. It was probably the coolest thing you could do. And myself, I had trouble with money as a child and a teenager. And I thought that working on the financial markets would protect me from that. So yeah, this is why.
So from being a trader to being a banker, I guess, eventually?
Yes, that happened when I realized that I was lacking meaning in my job after 5 years maybe. And I started looking for other opportunities. Digital banking was very logical as a next move for me back in 2015 because the future was there.
What makes Trade Republic different from other banks you've worked at before?
Well, I've been working in traditional big banks before, and the main difference I observed is the fact that in big banks, you are driven by KPIs and numbers, and at Trade Republic, you are driven by the mission you have. And having this mission of democratizing wealth across Europe is something that drives all our actions, basically, and makes our journey as entrepreneurs way more meaningful for me.
And what does the mission at Trade Republic mean to you?
Well, I come from a middle-class family, from an immigration story, and I think that building wealth needs to be made accessible to everybody, including popular and middle class, because if we don't do it, the way money is spread across the population is not efficient and do not create progress. So we need a solid new financial backbone for Europe in order to foster progress at a moment where demography is changing everything. We are aging as a population. So we need to change the way we deal with money, and this is what Trade Republic brings, especially to the Gen Z.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about your role. So you're the lead for the European markets. Your role is pan-European. How do you manage the cultural differences across those markets?
The first thing you need to do if you want to deal with cultural differences is to understand them. And to understand them, you need to listen. So I'm a spokesperson, but I spend a lot of time actually listening to people and traveling to the countries where we operate. We need to understand, as a team, the emotional burden of people towards money to help them ease it and make better informed decisions. So to achieve that, we listen, we understand, we analyze, and with our global product, we use local cultural reference to make it relevant for people. But first, you need to listen to people.
Has there been any particular country or market that has, where you faced particular challenges or that has surprised you?
Every day is a surprise when you change the way people deal with money, and every country is specific. So I didn't know that the Netherlands had the best pension system in Europe. I didn't know that Spanish people are heavy on index funds. I didn't know that the Italian people have a bond craze, basically, or a bond investing culture. So every country is specific, but every country is suffering from the lack of control people have over their own money. So there is an investing, saving, and overall money culture growing in the European Gen Z. And it's very important that we foster this pan-European investing and saving culture for the future, because the world is not going to wait.
Part of your role is to deal with public authorities. How have you approached this as a startup from Berlin?
So traditional players and public authorities have a long-lasting relationship, usually based on trust. So when you are the disruptor, it's quite difficult to build your credibility. For us, the growth we have and the support we receive from the European Gen Z is very clear and very strong. This is helping us being recognized as a credible leader of the European investing Gen Z for public authorities. Our best luck, I would say, is that our mission to democratize wealth, to close the pension gap, is actually a strategic priority for the European Union and for many countries in Europe. This is called the retail investment strategy and one of the top priorities of the European Union. So I have to say that we actually receive support from the public authorities, both at European level or at country level.
Obviously, you'll know a little bit more about how to drive success in France. What has been your approach there?
What we do is, as we said, heavily cultural. So you need to build a financial education, financial empowerment, communication strategy that will actually resonate with people. So we started small with webinars, press relations, and organizing small events. Again, understanding first what were the real breaks of French people when it comes to saving and investing. And once we had that mapped, we were able to develop a sort of public opinion building or public opinion communication strategy to help people free themselves from their a prioris. Because in France, it's changing now, it's visible at scale, but we had a lot of a prioris with money. And we need to change those to face money in a realistic way to optimize the way we manage it. And the French people, more quickly than I would have anticipated, through the Gen Z, embraced this change and very quickly started talking about it on social media. And this is when we entered the conversation with them.
You seem to be resonating with Gen Z. Has there been anything that has influenced your ability to do that?
So myself, I'm not a boomer. I'm not a Gen Z either. I'm in between. And I'm lucky to have as well a younger sister that's 10 years younger than me, and I'm communicating a lot. But I think the main aspect is social media. Social medias are, at the moment, building in Europe a sort of a human blockchain of financial education. And this is, to be honest, the most powerful empowerment change that I've seen happening in the past 2 years in Europe. So social media, the transparency of it, and the will of the Gen Z to share useful contents with each other is what empowered us to do this at scale so fast.
Matthias, you are a father of 2. Has this influenced how you lead?
Being a father of 2 kids has influenced my whole life, basically. So I think that the main aspect of parenting that can be useful to leadership is that when you become a parent, you usually diminish a lot your ego. And ego is usually the enemy of leadership. So becoming a parent helps you forget your ego along the way, and ego-less leaders are usually more efficient.
What convinced you to join Trade Republic?
It was a mission that's very clear in my head. I wanted to contribute to that mission. And it struck me very hard the first time I came to Berlin to meet the founding team and the executive team. And I was expecting, to be honest, to meet the financial typical people, building a speculative platform to make French people do trading. And then I met people trying for the next decades to change the way people live their money and the way people optimize it as well. So this mission of democratizing wealth, embodied by the leadership team, is really what got me into Trade Republic, very clearly. It's quite regularly in my career that meeting people and discussing with people is what makes my decision-making process.
What surprised you the most about Trade Republic?
The team. The team. I mean, having a quite young team, able to work in a very dedicated way and a very efficient way in such a high regulated industry, with this focus on the mission, is what it's been inspiring for me, basically, especially coming from traditional players. This is a cultural ocean I had to cross to enter into this way of working and way of thinking. So the team of Trade Republic is for sure what is striking me, and still today.
Last question. What was your first ever trade?
I bought a stock of the bank I was working on at that time, basically. This was my, and this is very common in France to become a shareholder of the company you work for. So this was my very first trade. And I think I'm not making any money on this since like 10 years or something.
Thank you. What's your favorite feature at Trade Republic?
Savings plans. I've seen so many people making wrong decisions based on their emotion facing stocks and ETFs, that savings plan is the feature that might change actually the pension future of people. So savings plan without a doubt, and save back is number 2.